Hello and welcome to this video. This is part one of a multi-part look at 1977's Wizards by Ralph Bakshi. This was his attempt at a children's animated feature. It did get a PG rating. And it was one of those movies that I got to see in the movie theater and really enjoyed. And by today's standards, that movie would probably get an R or PG-13 rating. But in 1977, the rules were different. The game was different. It is set in a very fantasy world. It's a world of fantasy. But unlike most of your fantasy movie tropes, this takes place on Earth in our future after a nuclear apocalypse. What I'm going to be doing is I have pulled some clips that I think are enjoyable and are worth looking at and breaking down as far as this movie goes, that things that I essentially believe make the movie good. The animation is not the best in the world, but a lot of the artwork is very, very well done. Bakshi was shopping around to do this movie. Century 20th Fox bought the rights and basically screwed him on the budget. They gave him almost nothing to work with. Even by today's standards, what he got to make this movie was, just pittance of what he actually needed to make the movie. Fortunately, this movie was the movie that was looked at that eventually led to him making American Pop, which was a totally or almost totally rotoscoped movie that Ralph Bakshi did, which is probably his magnum opus. But Wizards was kind of the setup, the catalyst that allowed American Pop to be made. Like I said, it takes place in the future in a very, very tokenist world. Kind of very token, very not token. It's kind of hard to explain the world that Wizards is set in. Your four main heroes, I should say, are Avatar, Princess Eleanor, Queen Eleanor, Weehawk, and Peace. Avatar is a wizard of God knows how old at this point in the movie. There's one point in the opening that you find out that right after his mother passed, him and his twin brother duked it out for control of the planet or the area, the particular place they're in. And then the movie fast forwards 3,000 years. So, his age is kind of unknown at this point. Eleanor is a fairy princess, fairly Rubenesque. 1977, Ralph Bakshi beat all the social justice warriors to the chubby heroine, sexy chubby heroine trope or image or whatever you want to call it. Very flirtatious, very, very into Avatar. Weehawk is the ever loyal soldier. Does what he's told when he's told to do it. He has a very high sense of honor. Peace is a assassin that was originally set out by the main bad guy or protagonist, not protagonist, antagonist, Black Wolf, which is Avatar's brother. He gets captured and basically converted, for lack of a better term, to good, and helps our merry band of heroes to save the day. It has the whole feel of the taking the ring to Mordor and destroying the ring. But in this case, they're going to a place called Scorch, which is basically the remnants, the really worst hit from the nuclear holocaust, to destroy the propaganda that Black Wolf had found to motivate his armies into battling. There is a lot of rotoscoping of movies that Century 20th Century Fox had the rights to, that was used in this movie to save on budget. It's, like I said, the rotoscope. If you've seen any of these movies, Battle of the Bulge, Zulu, a number of other movies. If you've seen these movies, you recognize the footage and you know instantly where it's from. There's a lot of biographical German footage used, as is combination of real life and animation. Then you have the true animation in with it. There's a lot of the movie that is told because of Century 20th Century Fox. I don't know what I'm doing, but because they screwed them on the budget, there's large, huge chunks of this movie that are told basically on colorized, or not even colorized, on basically storyboards with exposition. This does not detract from the movie any. It does not. The story is solid enough that all the flaws in the animation, all the flaws in the rotoscoping doesn't detract. There's a lot of different themes. There's a lot of symbolism in the movie. The main theme of the movie is the power of propaganda, the power of the government to control thought, to control actions through thought, to controlling people's actions by controlling their thought. And that is what's driven home. There's also some subplots, age gap, relationship between Avatar and Eleanor, duty, how the role of president is portrayed in the movie. Like I said, this is a very good story. Some of the development, and I personally blame 20th Century Fox. The characters are kind of shallow. They're not as fleshed out as they should be. But when you ain't got the money to do it, you don't have the money to do it. It's just not going to happen. So, with all that being said, we'll go into our first clip. This is pretty much the opening. This, as a 7-year-old, when I went to see this movie, is kind of what kind of hooked me into the movie. The rest of the movie could have been just total crap, but the way this opening was done, the way it was set up, the way it was filmed, it was very well. It was good, and it sunk the hook in there, got you interested in the movie. So without further ado, here it is.
An illuminating history bearing on the everlasting struggle for world supremacy, fought between the powers of technology and magic. The world blew up in 1,000 atomic fireballs. The first blast was set off by 5 terrorists.
With a hook like that, how can one not be interested in a movie like this? Or at least the story, the premise of a story like this. The next clip introduces us to Necro 99, the assassin, and Weehawk. I chose this particular clip because it has both of them interacting with each other as the assassin and as the warrior protector. There is a scene earlier in which Necro 99 and the other assassins are sent out by Black Wolf. That, to me, just didn't have the impact of introducing the impact that having the interaction between the two as adversaries fighting each other to what appears to be the mutual end. So sit back and enjoy this clip.
Can't we stay here for tonight? No, just for a few hours rest.
I sense something.
But the road is clear. We haven't seen an assassin for days.
A clever assassin stays hidden. Avatar must be warned. Our mission is nearly over, Westwind. But now it's time for one final run.
Like I said, that was, to me, that clip, that previous clip, just shows more the impact of showing what Weehawk is, what he's capable of, and showing more of what Necro 99 is, how relentless, how ferocious she's going to be. And like I said, it's really good. It flows pretty well. There's not a whole lot of storyboarding, if any. Well, I don't think there's any. But if you notice the background, the trees and stuff stay fairly stationary, kind of like they're going past the same trees and stuff over and over. But that's what you do when you get short sighted on your budget. And now this next clip is we're going to introduce Avatar, Eleanor, and Eleanor's father. Eleanor's father is a minor character who quickly gets brushed to the side. When you start getting the inclination or the idea that maybe there is something between Eleanor and Avatar. So I'll let you guys enjoy this next clip and see what kind of decision you come to.
Maybe we should arm our states.
Science and technology?
There's no time for that. Even if we could impress our people with the danger. Science and technology were outlawed millions of years ago. And we must admit, it's been a peaceful world since then.
Enough! Bring out! I demand to know what you know, or I'll banish you!
Banish him? But, Father, who will teach me all the magic I have left to learn? Only Avatar can make me a full-fledged fairy. And as you can see, I'm only half there.
All right. I'll tell you, if you think you can handle it. What do you know about war, about bombs that could turn a planet molten and liquid? To think it could start again. 10 million years after the final one. Sometimes I get tired of being so old. Sometimes being a wizard is lonely at the top.
We're waiting, old wizard.
You know about my brother. Well, as the years passed, I searched for my brother in vain. He had settled in the dark land of Scorch.
Like I said, this is a pretty interesting clip on the introduction of both Avatar, Eleanor, and Eleanor's father. You get the early feelings that there's something between Eleanor and Avatar, or at least Eleanor wants something between Eleanor and Avatar. He's far too in my opinion, he's far too casual, and he's pretending to ignore her advances. But all in all, this is your introduction, and because it's the way the story has to be told and the budget it was on, it really wasn't fleshed out over time. It was just kind of, boom, there it is. One of the things I do find interesting, however, is the portrayal of Eleanor's father, the president, behind a clown's mask. That could be many different kinds of symbology there. Anything from the fact that he's a fool or a clown for not seeing what his daughter's doing with this older man. And with this movie being released in 1977, it was probably started sometime 76. So depending on exactly what was going on, the president with a clown's mask on could possibly be a lampoon of Gerald Ford, or even possibly Jimmy Carter, or the whole, that leaders are basically clowns, that they're controlled by other things. They're not actually leaders. So it is one of those things. At the end of the clip, you see Avatar starting to talk about his brother, which in the movie it cuts to this next clip that I'm going to show you, which is basically the reason why I'm putting this clip in is because it goes back to the whole thing I was talking about earlier with they didn't have money to animate everything, so they did basically storyboards or basically fancy storyboards with color and some limited background movement in the animation. The artwork overall is good artwork. The subject matter or the way things are drawn may not be to your liking, but it is good artwork. And it tells, and it does further, and it's exposition. It does further the story. So, without further ado, we'll go into this clip.
For 5,000 years, Black Wolf studied black arts, increasing his wisdom 10,000-fold. He built a small following of frog-like creatures, but needed more troops for his evil plans. He then formed an army whose generals were called up from the black shadows of hell. Souls who waited for untold eternities for a new leader. Black Wolf's tremendous power enslaved them all to carry out his will. Then stories of Black Wolf's armies attacking neighboring countries came back. Demons of hell armed with black magic. But they would get bored or sidetracked in the middle of battle and give up running home.
And like I was saying, this clip gave you a little bit of extra back. Actually, it really wasn't extra. It was needed information. It was done the best way they could do it with the resources they had at the time to do it. We're still talking. I mean, you have to understand, we're still talking in the days of hand-drawn animated cells. So animation wasn't cheap. You could do more with it. You could tell broader stories, but it wasn't cheap. But like I said, this little bit just kind of gives you background on Black Wolf and his armies and what was going on up to this point. The next clip I'm throwing in just simply because it's a funny clip. It doesn't further the story, and it's just something that I find amusing and worth just sharing.
Fritz! Fritz, get up, for God's sake, get up! They've killed Fritz! They've killed Fritz! Those lousy, stinking yellow fairies! Those horrible, atrocity-filled vermin! Those despicable animal warmongers! They've killed Fritz! Take that! Take that! Take that, you green slime! You black-hearted, short, bull-legged!
Max, I'm okay. I'm okay, Max. Just a scratch. Look, I'm all right. Max.
Oh, damn. There you go again, stepping on my lines, raining on my parade, costing me medals. Oh, damn! Ooh. Oh, Fritz. Fritz, get up, for God's sake. Get up! They've killed Fritz! They've killed Fritz! Those lousy, stinking yellow fairies! Those horrible, atrocity-filled vermin! They've killed Fritz!
Like I said, that clip was just a fun little clip. Like I said, it really doesn't push the story forward or anything. It's just a little fun thing that I'm glad they put in the movie. It's great. It's just one of those things that kind of breaks the tension of what's going on. And from this clip, we break back into the whole storyboard narration thing. And that kind of brings us up to date and kind of ends us kind of a little bit of a cliffhanger on what's going on, what Black Wolf's plans are, and what may be coming down the pike. So, without further ado, enjoy.
They could easily have won, but they lacked the motivation and inspiration. Black Wolf knew he needed more. He sent his huge armies out to excavate ancient ruins for links to the past. Tales reached Avatar that bits and pieces of pre-Holocaust technology were being dug up and marched back to Scorch One. With these ancient pieces, he built a new war machine. Still, His generals needed more to fight with. This drove Black Wolf mad with frustration. Then one day, that frustration vanished.
This being, like I said, one of the fancy storyboard clips. The clip, basically, it's more background information. It moves the plot forward. It catches the people up through exposition, through the artwork, through stationary artwork, and it allows the movie to go back to movieing. It brings you almost all the way up to date. What's going on in Black Wolf's world, what's going on, what his plans are. This final clip in part one is going, where actually the movie is now stepping away from exposition and actually moving forward with the plot and the story. It involves Avatar, Eleanor, the president, and it has the reintroduction of Weehawk. So, and also has Necron 99. He plays a part in this scene too. So, sit back and enjoy.
I sent my elf spies to find out what was happening. I'm sure he has found some great power that will control his armies.
You mean you sent out that elf envoy to investigate based on a vague feeling of yours?
I failed you, my wizard. I failed you, my president.
As you see in this last scene for part one of My Look at Wizards, we've made it to the execution or assassination of the president. We get to see a little bit more of Weehawk's character, his remorse for not being able to save the president. Avatar's reaction on once Necron 99 assassinates the president. Was it more to subdue him because he killed the president, or was it to protect Eleanor? It's kind of hard at this point in the movie. I tend to believe it was more to protect Eleanor versus actually capturing the guy who assassinated the president. So I should be able to have part two out probably in a week or two. Hopefully in a week. But weather here has been kind of wonky, and I have lots of stuff to do, and the weather presents problems for me in doing this stuff. So until the next video, take care, peace, love, enjoy.
An illuminating history bearing on the everlasting struggle for world supremacy, fought between the powers of technology and magic.